Strange Adventures issue 3, Tom King writing with Mitch Gerads and Doc Shaner on the art. Of course, is the other main event this week. You know, there was two heavy hitters coming out of the week that were clearly the two headliners. So,
can I just say before we get started, I resent DC not including the variant covers in the digital copies anymore, especially on this book, because it only shows me one cover when I think both covers are equally valid.
Yeah. It definitely feels 50-50 with this book as opposed to...
I had a hard time picking between the issues or the covers for this issue at the shop.
I think it feels like on a lot of books there is an obvious cover A and then, oh, this is the variant cover.
Right.
But on this book they feel equal. And I think it's unfair on the digital versions to only include one.
It's honestly, I mean, I've never really been that tempted whenever I did buy a physical comic to buy more than one cover, but I feel like Strange Adventures is one that might actually tempt me to get both of every issue. So basically, we see the aftermath of the meeting with Mr. Terrific, where immediately they're like, how effing dare he? And it becomes this outrage from Alana and Adam that the Justice League and Mr. Terrific are investigating in the way that they are, where they're not presuming his innocence necessarily, even though Superman tries to reassure him.
I think it's notable. It's the questioning about his daughter.
Yeah,
that is what sends it over the line. And and I do like seeing his relationships here, Adam Strange and Superman, and then Adam Strange and Hawkman, and that's who he's bouncing this off of. Like, that was a nice touch. On that part.
Yeah, so obviously as we go through, so we get that reaction, then we get more of the continuation of the flashbacks / maybe the altered version in the book itself, which is Adam fighting like a gladiatorial combat match with a champion of the Helotat.
Helotat. And this is who he was going to in the last issue, right?
Yeah, this is where he just got to. We find out, not quite this page yet, but a little bit later, that they've went and retrieved Alana, so she's there witnessing this now. She's in the crowd.
Yeah, and that she's familiar with this gladiatorial battle. That she used to, like, the kids of Ran would have like play sets of this, and it was familiar, and they used to do mock ceremonies and whatnot. And I'm just trying to read into the commentary from King on this about if it's like we encourage kids to play at war, right? There's army men and all these other stuff. What does that do to them later in life? Because I'm feeling like Alana, like in the Gerads pages, she feels very much like a femme fatale. Yet here in these, you know, the journal basically, she's not. She's this, not quite a heroine, but like a cipher for...
She's a supporting character.
Yeah, but like she is what Rand culture is, right? Like this shining,
The word I want to use here is a cipher.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was making sure I was using it right.
Yeah.
For she represents Rand in and of itself, because she's on not the planet, but the culture of the city.
Yeah.
Right. That she's an outsider watching the ceremony that she thought she knew well, right? Because we're getting her thoughts on it, and and I gotta say, Shaner killed it with the fight scenes here.
Oh sure,
like,
yeah.
The talking in between and whatnot, it flows really well.
I was going to interject with Superman and Adam flying towards the ship over the city.
Yeah.
That page
spread.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
The page is gorgeous.
And on top of this, we also have what looks like the Picts are leading a charge on Earth, and that's why Adam and Alana are there. And that's what we keep seeing him interacting with Superman and Hawkman as they're fighting these alien invaders.
Yeah, they're leading the charge, and so this is calling into question how they handled it before, which is what a lot of the press, because one of the big scenes in the book is them on like a talk show and being asked some questions about the investigation, and Alana gives this sort of general spiel about, well, this is just to distract him from his from what he's actually here to do, which is to save the world, and blah blah blah. As it's intercutting, of course, with the fight, where Adam actually does, get a blow from this poison weapon, and he's going to slowly die, but he's like, no, we're still going to fight.
The Helotat offers him the sword. It's like, it's customary to offer you the weapon that you can take your way, you're the easy way out here now you've been poisoned, rather than fight on and get slower. You can die an honorable death.
Yeah.
And Adam ain't got time for that.
Yep.
You know? So he ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah, and they kind of have this great scene where after talking to, I think, a lawyer, Alana basically kind of reaffirm their, like, how strong their bond is with this kiss after, because he's getting really sort of worried and he's sort of rambling about, oh, they're asking about this and they're talking about lawyers and they asked about her daughter. I mean, like, come on, Jesus, like, how can they do that? And she just kind of grabs him and kisses him, and it's kind of them sort of having this unified front, this reassurance, which, you know, is right before the page where a full page spread in the flashback of Adam lunging towards the warrior. And I think that the actual narrative bounce back and forth between here is actually really strong, because this kind of reinforcement of their bond as he's like fighting, because they're fighting for her, like, you know, because there's multiple points where this warrior says, oh, when I win and I take her, I'm going to enjoy having her by my side, because you're willing to fight for her this much. So it's kind of this, like, you know, two sides of the same thing. You know, she supports him in this way, where his way is winning this fight to the death, which he wins in a brutal way, where he does not even win with the sword. He bashes his head in with the helmet.
Well, no, he slices his head off with the pointed top helmet. Of the helmet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite of the good death he was being offered, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's different to bashing it in. Bashing it in implies, you know, like caving the skull in, whereas this is still a decapitation, just with the fin, I want to call it, the helmet.
Right. It's nowhere less brutal, but it's a little bit more, you know.
It's more precise.
Precise. I was gonna say to the point.
Oh, that works too. Yeah.
I mean, I just got bashed from the art. But
I mean, we see the guy with his head off.
We do. I just thought he bashed it repeatedly in the neck until his head came off, which I thought was more visceral. I actually thought that's why it was so nasty.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I got he's using that fin, the sharp bit of the fin, to cut through the neck.
Mm-hmm.
I may be right, but you corrected me so as if I'd made some sort of stupid mistake. But I
think bashing implies, you know, crushing in the head, whereas this is more of a decapitation using the helmet.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a difference.
I mean, I'm not so sure if I get the impression he's swiping from side to side, though. It kind of just looks like he's, because the three panels on that single page.
That dude's in two pieces.
Yeah, and that's what matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, these pages with Garrett's and her, and I can't get over how much of the villain she seems. Like, in any film noir, this is the one that you're looking at, right? Like, she's swimming alone in the pool.
Well, even that panel,
Batman comes.
That panel of her holding the gun up and the swimsuit is very, you know, and there's Batman's there, and she, you know, she blows smoke in his face, and it's this, you know, this disrespect thing.
Just that click in the bottom corner as she blows it, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. So the end of the book is this news report. Someone's caught a photo of this, and, you know, calling into question how noble Adam and Alana are because of how she's treating him.
Well, I don't think it's. I mean, maybe I read this differently to Pete, but this was more, to me, she was the one taking the picture, and it's not calling into question their reputation. It's questioning
the
Batman. This isn't an independent investigation. They're interrogating them. Is what the narration on the Fox News says at the end.
Right. And then the media grabs a hold of it, and now they twist that even more, you know.
Yeah, so I would say this is Alana who leaked this picture.
Well, to be honest,
to be anti-Batman and anti-Justice League.
Well, hold on a second. I read this kind of starting that way, and then by the end, I kind of read it the opposite, because that picture to me at the end looks worse for her than it does Batman, to be honest. But
I don't know.
Maybe just the picture does, but the actual text of what Fox News are saying is, oh, this was supposed to be an independent investigation for the Justice League, but here's Batman harassing her. Harass is an actual word it uses. Which implies that they're using this as a anti-Batman picture.
Well, and it's a pro-soldier type thing too, where especially in this country, you can't criticize the military for anything.
Right, and that's the final line of the issue. Is this how we treat our heroes? And as far as they're concerned, Adam Strange and Alana are war heroes on their planet.
Yeah, because I even read the talk in quotation marks is implying some kind of sexual encounter, to be honest. Like, I thought the media was going, like, bananas with this.
Yeah, no, I took it as it's Batman interceding in an independent investigation, and they're taking it, and I was like, well, no, he's not. He's there to talk,
Yeah,
You know,
I definitely thought this is anti-Justice League and Batman
Yeah.
rather than anti-Adam Strange and Alana.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I guess either misread it or didn't quite get what it
Yeah,
was
well,
hitting at.
either way, and this is the thing with these books from Kings and Garrett's and now Shaner in there too, is that they are open to interpretation, because again, I'm trying to figure out like what Alana's talking about with the playing out of the ceremony as children, and what does that mean for later through Adam and him playing out that ceremony, which it doesn't end in the way that it's supposed to, right? Like the ceremony. The ceremony.
Keep going.
Yeah, okay. The ceremony doesn't end like it's supposed to, right? In the time-honored tradition on Rand and the Helitats and whatnot. So, well, it just adds more question to their story.
All right, well, Carter's back. His internet went out there for a second, so we'll just kind of wrap up the book there, I guess. As the flow of the conversation came to a screeching halt, but naturally, obviously, it was very good. Art was fantastic. Yeah. It's poking at character intrigue. I'm loving the reaction of kind of pitting like Adam and Alana against the Justice League and their reaction to being investigated, which makes them feel inherently a little bit as they've got something to hide. Like there's something to actually find.
Especially Alana, and I think it's interesting that King and Garrett and Shayna have been talking about how Alana is the third character in this book, and up till now, I don't think we've really felt this, but this was definitely her issue. I think as much as it featured a lot of Adam in the flashbacks, especially the present day stuff.
I wonder
in the
if
back half.
I wonder if the thing that there's there to find is something that only she knows about, and Adam doesn't actually know.
I think that's quite possible.
Yeah. And that's why she's maybe a bit more aggressive with the defense than he is.
Where's Sardath in all this? Like, 'cause he's the leader of Rand, right? Like, he's their main scientist. So that's got to be a central mystery. It's her dad.
I don't know.
That's true.
He's at Five Guys. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, for her to be with the hero, but also be their leader's daughter. Like, there's some, like, I've watched enough Game of Thrones to know there's stuff at play here.
I mean, on that, it's unusual enough in its own right that she's on Earth. That's pretty uncommon for Alana.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right, Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Connor?
Yeah, another 8.5 from me.
I will also give it an 8.5. It's hard to complain.